She was described by Hitler as the most dangerous woman in Europe. We're not talking Wallis Simpson, of course, but we're talking about the late and brilliant Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. But as we've just seen with a spectacular fly past over here in the United Kingdom with, of course, the senior members of the British monarchy on the Buckingham Palace balcony, well, this all happened, didn't it, 80 years ago? But here are the secrets that you don't know behind that very, well, rare appearance of a British Prime Minister standing alongside the senior royals. And how did it all come about? As ever, let me explain. Chums, lovely to see you today, and thank you so much for taking the time out and joining me. And also, thank you for your lovely comments regarding the small video that I put together regarding, of course, VE Day. It is, you know, people pointed out, such an exceptional time when you think, because we should be so grateful to all of those who have gone before us, you know, and did so much to give us the freedoms that we have. Not forgetting, of course, we forget things sometimes like this, don't we? The Home Guard, they did a lot. People do forget them, although of course we all love Dad's Army, but that's in a comedic sense. In a more realistic sense, the Home Guard did a sterling job, as did the nurses, the doctors, the bobbies on the beat. There were so many sort of areas of everything that was literally helping the war effort. And that truly was recognised in London yesterday. And it's terrific when you think, because you do look at situations like that and think to yourself, wow, you know, all of these people that are now being, well, looked at, as it were, you know. Now, one of the most famous situations that happened during the culmination, the end of the Second World War, VE Day, which, as I mentioned before, there was a delightful film regarding the young princesses, Elizabeth and Margaret, and how they got out and literally mingled with the crowds. It was incredible when you think. What I find really interesting, though, is this particular situation, because we've never seen this since. Now, Winston Churchill is deemed by many people as our greatest leader. And when you think, of course, he saw us all through the Second World War. Now, when you look at this picture of Winston Churchill and, of course, the senior members of the British monarchy, what you see is, just as I say, a very rare glimpse. And when you look at the picture in colour, you can see, in fact, that actually Winston is a little bit embarrassed. You know, there was a lot of persuasion behind the scenes to make him do this, because the Queen Mother, as we know her, Queen Elizabeth at the time, alongside King George, the Queen's father, said, no, 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 you must come up here. People want to see you. You are the one that has got through all of this. And it's wonderful when you think, because, you know, he'd taken us literally through the war, everything that had gone on, and suddenly at the 11th hour, the Queen said, well, why are you so shy? You know, they are chanting your name. Now, of course, when you look at the footage, and, you know, it's obviously quite distorted, 80 years on, as you can imagine, you just can hear the fact that people are thrilled to see Winnie, as he was known. He developed a very good friendship with Queen Elizabeth and the King, and of course the young princesses. And we saw that as it went further down the line, when she, of course, in the fullness of time became Queen in 1953. What you don't know, though, is this. You see, behind the scenes, not only did they have the celebration on the balcony, but then Queen Elizabeth said, look, you know, what we've got is we've got a nice tea party planned for you. And he then brought his family over, and the Queen Elizabeth, served him tea, cake, sandwiches, all the things that he liked, but he was the guest. A very rare thing to do, let me tell you. Now, apparently the servants were given the time off, and they called them servants in those days, the time off to go and join in the celebrations of VE Day. And apparently the King was seen helping clear plates, and would you like any more, cutting cake, all that sort of stuff. As their relationship developed, every time that he came over for, you know, the audience or meeting with royals, the Queen insisted that she poured and made the tea and did everything for him. It became their little joke, as you can imagine. And it's lovely to share these things, because of course they are lost in time. Everybody remembers the great war hero of which he was. The Queen Mother, as I call her, of course, could not believe that then, after getting everybody through the war, he was spectacularly dumped and replaced by another party. She literally could not get over it, because, you know, if you look at the sort of voting situation at the time, he didn't really do that much, because the swell of it was, well, no, they're bound to want him back in. He adapted to life outside the politics game for a few years very well. As we know, he came back. But the Queen Elizabeth, could not get over it, and found this very disturbing, that the public could turn on you so quickly. But apparently Winston said it's something you get used to when you're in a position of power. And apparently the Queen Mother said, let's hope I don't put a step wrong, or else I could be joining you too. And that's exactly how they bonded. Now, right until his final days, Winston had a signed copy of that picture in his master study in his homes, not just his home, but in his homes. And also when he stayed in Claridge's, he travelled around with these signed pictures because he said it was such a momentous occasion for him and one that he would never truly forget. And as I said at the start of the video, we should never forget the glorious people that gave us victory in Europe. We thank one and all, but isn't it nice to know what went on behind the scenes with Winnie, as the royals called him? Neil Sean in the very heart of Yorkshire.